Dear students, the topic of this video is the nature of the revolt of 1857. There is no unanimity among the scholars regarding the nature of the revolt of 1857, and a debate took place between 1950 to 1960, focusing attentions on three perspectives of the revolt of 1857. Sepoy Mutiny, whether it was a Sepoy Mutiny, whether it was a national struggle, or whether it was the first war of Indian independence or a manifestation of a feudalist revival. All the British historians, in particular Sir John Lawrence and Seeley, are of the view that it was a Sepoy Mutiny, as the sepoys refused to use the greased cartridges of the Enfield rifles and opposed the move. An anxious attempt or a conscious attempt on the part of the British was to minimize the grievances of the Indians and to restrict it only to a section of the army's revolt. And then further, the British tried to portray civil disturbances as an action of selfish, vested interest of the landlords and the princesses. Their attempt was to prove that the colonial rule, if not welcomed, was also not detested, as many Indian historians argue. So, Elia Rees, he viewed that it was a religious war against Christianity. So, S.R. Holmes expressed the opinion that it was a conflict between the civilians and barbarism. Sir James Outram, W. Taylor, and others are of the view that it was a conspiracy hatched by the Hindus and the Muslims against the British. So, contesting the British interpretation as that of Sepoy Mutiny, that the revolt of 1857 was merely a Sepoy mutiny, the nationalist historians, and in particular V.D. Savarkar, in his book The Indian War of Independence of 1857, which was published anonymously in 1912, they argued that it was the first war of Indian independence, and it is inspired lofty ideals of self-rule by the Indians through the nationalist upsurge. Ashok Mehta, in his book The Great Rebellion, expressed the view that the revolt was national in character. Vishweshwar Prasad observes that as the end of alien rule was essential object and the chief purpose, and in this sense, the revolt of 1857 may be termed as a national war of freedom, though the sentiment of nationalism in the modern sense of the term had not taken deep roots in the soil of the Indian soil till during that period. So Tarachand describes it as a war of independence in his book The History of the Freedom Movement in India. So, contradicting the above views on nationalist motivated perceptions, R.C. Majumdar concludes that it is difficult to avoid the conclusion that the so-called first national war of independence of 1857 is neither the first nor national nor a war of independence, and it was not pre-planned and was limited to certain pockets in northern India. Ascension is of the view that the mutiny became a revolt and assumed a political character when the mutineers of Meerut, they placed themselves under the king of Delhi, and a section of the landed aristocracy and civil population declared the Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah as the king of as the Indian emperor, as the Mughal emperor. So what began as a fight for religion ended as a war of independence. For there is ended as a war of independence. For there is not the slightest doubt that the rebels wanted to get rid of the alien government and restore the old order in which the king of Delhi was the rightful representative for all. Since 1970, the historical perspective has shifted from the study of the Sepoy Mutiny or the National Revolt to the examination of the social roots of the revolt of 1857 by understanding the specific areas of studies. As a result of such studies, it is now established that the relationship between the land revenue settlement and the revolt is very minimum. Further, it is now suggested that the roots of the revolt of 1857 are traceable to the pockets of relatively are traceable to relatively poverty due to ecological factors also, such as less fertile soil and severe revenue assessments imposed on arable lands. Arable land cost, all these things caused undue misery to the cultivators. So it is believed that it is very difficult to make generalization of the revolt of 1857, events of the revolt of 1857, as the response of the people varied from one area to another area, and as such it is argued that the revolt of 1857 was not one movement, but there were many movements within that movement. So the nature of the revolt of 1857, the events of the revolt of 1857 became so emotive that it gave scope to multiple perspectives.